That's what we women do. Make jokes about our age before anyone else does. Always get the gags in first. As it happens, I remember my 40th birthday quite clearly. The midwife glanced at my notes. 40 today, she said sympathetically, during my umpteenth antenatal appointment. Still, at least it's not your first baby. No, third, I said a little tetchily, wondering what she meant exactly. Having a baby at 40 is commonplace now, but back then there was still a certain amount of comment about older mothers. I should explain that the baby in question is now 27. You do the maths. On the plus side, it was a time when pregnant women were still called pregnant women. Not pregnant people. The 90s weren't all bad. I smoothed my flowery maternity frock over my colossal bump and looked sadly at my swollen ankles. It'd gone beyond the blooming stage. I was in the fat, flustered and permanently tired phase. And worse still, I was 40. No chance of celebrating this monstrous birthday either, because I wasn't touching alcohol. I'd like to say I had a celebration similar to Kate Moss' famous 40th birthday bash, 100 hours of hard partying in the Cotswolds. But I have no memory of doing anything to mark this special day. Brigitte Bardot did a nude photoshoot for Playboy magazine in 1974 to mark her 40th. But that wasn't on offer either. Meghan is far too saintly for this kind of frivolity, but she looked in world-conquering mode for her 40th birthday appearance on her cute little home video. Not a hair out of place. But Shush has just had a baby, so the chances are that Shush is hallucinating with exhaustion and wearing breast pads. Shush is only human after all, I think. And no matter who you are, 40 gives you pause for thought. You go from hot to not overnight. At 39 you could disapprove heartily of oafs in the street who greeted you with a wolf whistle. At 40 you feel depressed if they don't. At 39 you're a 30-something. At 40 you're in your 40s. You start to flick through your wardrobe and wonder if it's age appropriate. You realize that 20 years ago you were 20 and that in 20 years' time you'll be 60. Life suddenly becomes finite. As far as I was concerned, 40 was the time in my life when I was under a huge amount of stress. I had 2 small children and was about to have another. We had a big mortgage and interest rates were sky high. I was looking forward to about 10 minutes maternity leave from the sharing guardian whose concern for women didn't seem to extend to their freelance staff. At 40 I felt old with the weight of the world on my shoulders, and at that time it seemed as though I'd left youth behind and been shoved unceremoniously into middle age. It was no good well wishes saying that age is just a number and that you're only as old as you feel. Because I felt old and 40 was a number that I didn't care for at all. Rather than focusing on herself, as any normal person would do, Meghan Markle uses the occasion of her 40th birthday to release a video in which she announces that she will ask 40 friends to donate 40 minutes to mentor a woman who's mobilizing back into the workplace after the COVID pandemic. Melissa McCarthy, normally one of the funniest women in cinema, is roped into this ghastly, cloying piece of self-promotion. The things that Hollywood stars will do to get a piece of British royalty. Watching this sanctimonious nonsense made me remember a cracking episode of Absolutely Fabulous when Adina, Jennifer Saunders, wakes up on her 40th birthday and says, "It's like I hit an oil patch at 35 and now I'm just skidding towards the grave, darling." She doesn't want a surprise party, but she'll be even more upset if there isn't one. Her outrageous behavior continues as her family gathers for a predictably terrible lunch and Patsy arrives on the back of a motorbike. It said a lot about the angst of aging, but above all it was funny. Which Meghan's video is not. And it's a sense of humor which you need to get through those significant birthdays. The good news is that, in my experience, you get progressively younger after the age of 40. But that's another story.